when you look about our movement in the last 43 years in Oregon, there have been thousands of heroes, thousands of people that have done courageous things. And those have included gay men, lesbians, bisexuals, transgender people, and enormous amounts of straight people. Mm-hmm. Oregon's movement is distinctive in that it has that enormous participation. Mm-hmm. Many states don't have that type of thing. Mm-hmm. They're not as inclusive, they're not as all-inclusive.
This is interesting to hear because a lot of my history classes, Oregon was a very conservative state.
It was. It's still kind of Puritan in its own way. Yeah. That was a problem that we had. The one thing I might mention, there was an interesting case in early '73. I was invited to speak to a group called Manuka. It was I think it was run by the Presbyterian Church, and it was a mainstream Protestant retreat center in the Columbia River Gorge. And so someone got us to speak there, and there were some women and some men. And mm-hmm. Afterwards, I was talking to this woman, and she said, well, I run this with my husband, and our daughter's a lesbian. Mm-hmm. I said, well, that's very nice. You know, we have this hearing coming up in Salem for our first bill to ban discrimination based on sexual orientation. Why don't you come and join us at the meeting? Mm-hmm. So her name was Rita Knapp, and she not only came, but to my surprise, got up and gave a speech. And her speech was so incredible that we broke into applause, and we weren't supposed to be applauding. But word got out in the newspapers about her speech, and actually through an international newswire at the time. Mm-hmm. I thought, this is great, and I said, Rita, I called her and said, Rita, this is great. Look at your name in the headline, not in the headlines, but it was the lead part of the article. Mm-hmm. And it's going out over the wire. She said, oh no, I don't want to be, that, I wanted to defend my daughter, but I don't want to be all over the news like that. Well, she was all over the news, and she got some hassle over, but she later went on and became a co-founder of PFLAG, Parents and Friends of Gays and Lesbians, at Portland. And she and her husband and the parents of my friend Susie Shepherd. So I think yours was probably one of the earliest PFLAGs in the country. And PFLAG has done wonderful things. My friend Susie Shepherd, who was a lesbian activist, she came out in about '76. Her mother was an incredible woman who, they published their phone number all over the country. So gay people that didn't know who to talk to about being gay could talk to someone sympathetic. And her mother would sleep by the phone so as not to miss a call from some of these people. And she is a real saint among a lot of us.
Mm-hmm. No, Anne was just a wonderful
Anne Shepherd, yeah.
Oh.
She belonged to the leather community.
That's Susie did, yeah.
Susie was very active in MCC in the beginning. And also, and as far as Knapp goes, we had a Molly Bruton in Yamhill County and McMinnville was one in 1995 when we first hauled people in, the students in to first testing and counseling in the health department. We had pizza parties, they'd come, we tested them, had them come back, have another pizza party, and they were all negative, which was really good because they were using drugs and everything else because of the very conservative county at that time.
Which county was this?
Huh?
Which county?
Yamhill.
Okay.
And McMinnville, and they would come and congregate from all over the county and McMinnville on the street, and the lesbians were having sex with the straight youth because they didn't think too much of themselves. And so in 1996, one of the young persons who was a year older than Molly was 15, her family, her mother and her grandmother were very, very staunch Catholics. And Molly came out to her mother and said, I'm in love with this young woman. And the mother said, I'll see you in purgatory before I'll ever accept you. Well, nobody expected. What happened was I got a call from Susie from the school, because I was in Portland, I only commuted out there, and said, Norm, Molly had just shot her head off with a shotgun. And so they had all these youth in their counseling office saying, what are we going to do? And I said, I think the right thing to do would be that any of the youth that want to go to the service, they should go. And then several of the youth said, well, will you be part of that? And I thought, wow. I wasn't worried about being part of it. I was worried about holding it together because I knew these youth intimately. And, you know, and so they wanted me as their support. Susie could not do that because she was a counselor at the high school. But getting back to your friend at PFLAG.
Rita.
Yeah.
Rita Knapp, okay.
Yeah, Rita Knapp. And so I really became close to them.
Yeah.
That's when PFLAG got Oregon State to do the first conference for gay youth in Oregon. Mm-hmm. But it was extremely emotional, but really good, and that's why Mrs. Knapp organized the first conference for youth for that.
Wonderful woman.
Yeah, she's wonderful.
She's still alive. She lives near here.
Yeah, no, she's great. Whenever really at strange times, I met all these people from PFLAG, and it's just like old home week, you know, because we went through all this stuff, and everybody just pitched in and did the right thing.
So the Shepherds and the Knapps, the straight couples who were founders of PFLAG Portland, the Knapps had a lesbian daughter who has been a pioneer herself. She's been active since the early 70s, and she's especially big into women's music. And she's also active with a number of other organizations too. Susie is one of the daughters of the Shepherds. She has a sister who identifies as lesbian and a brother who identifies as a transgender male. And someone out of admiration for the Shepherds put together a legal scholarship, and it's called the short is called the Shepherd Fund. And that provides small legal scholarships for people in their 4th year in law school who have showed a commitment to human rights, especially as it involves LGBT people. And each year in about March or April, Susie puts on this great benefit called a class act, and it is a class act. She has a beautiful music production, and then you go into a room where table after table is laden with the finest chocolate you can imagine.
Oh, it's horrible to gain all this weight.
It is incredible. It is like heaven on earth for those of us who like chocolate. And that's Susie.
Oh yeah, Susie's great.
She puts it together every year.
And Kristen was on the Pride Board with me.
Yeah, yeah.
And when Kristen was on the Pride Board, it was really a good board at that time, because what we did, the good board's now good, but I mean, what we did at that time was we worked with the transgender community, and we put on one of the first plays at Firehouse Theater, and Pacific University filmed it, and they still have that film. And it was really the cast and everybody else on that play were transgendered, and then of course Kristen, she and her partner played music in the intermission and so forth, and it was really a wonderful thing. And so I mean, Portland's really been very, progressive